Okay, here we go. We're here at a local retail nursery, San Lorenzo Garden Center, River Street, Santa Cruz, California. A very fine retail nursery, high quality plant material, high quality, well-informed workers here. Similarly, we're lucky in this town, Santa Cruz, to have a nice but smaller nursery on the north end of town, the Garden Company. Both excellent operations. Okay, so here we are, we're following on the footsteps of the arrival of bare root fruit trees. We want to get after it while the choices are still plentiful. To my left here is the sand pit and the forest and the trees. You see these trees tucked in here quite tightly. We have options, and I would say one of the real advantages of buying locally is I can go down and inspect the very tree I want. And if I order online through reputable nurseries, yeah, but I'm going to get the tree that they send me, and it's going to be pruned down to fit in the box. I'd rather have the tree that I want, fits my needs, qualifies as a quality tree, and one that I can see the formative structure and know where I'm going with forming either an open center or a modified central leader form. So let's look at a couple options here. Your two basic options would be a whip or a branch tree. A whip is just that, a single stem, the trunk, that's all you get. Not bad, but a branch tree is so much better. I put this whip in the ground. It's going to take me 2 or 3 years to get where this branch tree is on the day I put it in the ground. The bigger tree with more branches will grow quicker, come into cropping sooner, and probably have a greater cropping potential for most of its life. So if you can get a branch tree, go for it. If not, you can work with a whip. And let's look at a couple other things here, and that would be the caliper. Caliper is a reference to the circumference or the girth of the trunk at the base of the tree. And what you want is a tree that is 1/2 inch or greater in terms of caliper. And they have very nicely marked these trees. All trees are graded out at the parent nursery. This is marked, as you might be able to see here, a 3/4 inch tree, and this is a 5/8 inch tree. You want at least a 1/2 inch caliper or bigger. And bigger is better, again, up to a certain point. Beyond about 3/4 inch caliper, it ain't bad, but there's no real gain. More is not always better with a 7/8 inch, inch and a half tree. So 5/8, 3/4, that'll get you there. We're going to look at the base of this tree here, bare root deciduous fruit tree. What I've got here is a Cox's orange pippin, arguably, but you won't get an argument from me. One of the better tasting apples on the planet. It's rich, it's sweet, it's juicy, and even before you bite into it or cut into it, it gives off the aroma in the direction of citrus. How cool is that? It's also a reliable annual cropper, almost everywhere it's grown. But down to the base here, you see this little disfiguration here. You see this little hook in the trunk. That is the bud union or the graft union. The managed fruit tree is composed of 2 separate, distinct genetic individuals. The rootstock, that which is below this hook here in the shank or the trunk of the tree, and the scion, S-C-I-O-N, or the variety or the top bearing part of the tree. They are 2 different genetic individuals fused together via budding or grafting. Couple, 3 things about the bud union. One, when you plant, you want to make sure it's a good 2 to 4 inches above the soil line. If you bury the bud union, there are several things that could be cataclysmic that could happen. One is it could rot out the whole tree. This point of attachment has a little stem scar, as you see. It's probably the most vulnerable portion of the tree. Bury it, lose it. The other thing is if you bury the bud union and you don't lose the tree, it's going to overrule the dwarfing nature of your rootstock, and you'll get a 30-foot tree. So keep the bud union 2 to 4 inches above the soil level. The other thing is because this is such a vulnerable portion of the tree, you want to orient the tree when you plant it, as I'm going to do now. Let's take a look. Sun comes up in the east, goes down in the west. This is north. So you want to have that bud score facing north. The trunk of the tree will shield it from sun injury. Okay, let's dive a little deeper. Let's look at some fruit trees in terms of their total makeup, going in the direction of choosing a quality tree, pros and cons. I have a whip here, single trunk, that's it. It ain't right, it ain't wrong, but it's not the best. A branch tree gets you out of the gate, down the road, and to the finish line sooner. Finish line being cropping, fruiting. But this is a fine tree, but let's be a little particular about it. It has what I'm going to call okay root system. Now, when you look at a dormant bare root tree, you're always going to say, what? The roots are skinnier than the tops, that's the way it is, so it's all relative. But this is an okay root system, but not the most robust, but it's okay. And I've only got the central trunk, and so I need to develop a branch structure. And in order to do that, I'm going to make one single cut on the leader here. I'm going to make it about 6 to 8 inches above where I want the branches to form. I am hopeful, I am expectant, I am led to believe that this top bud will take off and grow maybe 3-4 feet this year. The next 2 to 5 buds down the branch, if you're living right, will break from dormancy and grow me my initial branch structure. Pending how many branches break and their both vertical and horizontal placement, I'll then in mid-season, late spring maybe this year, choose my tree form, open center or modified central leader, and move on and prune accordingly. So it ain't half bad, but it's not the best. Okay, now we're cooking. We're moving up the gradient. We're cooking with garlic. Kick it up a notch, as it were. We have a bigger caliper tree. The first tree we looked at, the whip was 5/8 inch. This is 3/4. And we have a much more robust, extensive root system here. And we have a branch tree. Do we have a branch tree here or what? You betcha. So I've got about 8 or 9 branches here. And one of the advantages, again, of buying locally is I can pick out a tree that matches the tree form I want to create. In this instance, I'm going to demonstrate a modified central leader, which briefly has 5, 6, 7 branches that are spread equidistant from one another around the trunk and has some good vertical as well as horizontal space separation. So I'm just going to get rid of that which is unwanted, the small things that are not really likely to give me a strong branch. Something starts out weak, good chance it's going to remain weak. So now I'm getting down to the longer list of candidates here. I'm going to keep 5, maybe 6 primary branches. Let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything above that is unwanted in terms of being a scaffold branch. I'll make a heading cut up here to extend the leader, and then I'll prune these back about half their length. And I'm good to go. Put this tree in the ground, fertilize, mulch, water, and let's hope we have a good growing season here. Here we have another robust specimen, an apple, not just any apple, Ashmead's kernel, one of the more exquisite russeted apples. Can an apple be cloyingly sweet and a little bit tart and green at the same time if it's a russet? Yep. So we have an even more robust root system here. Keep in mind that when they dig these trees from the nursery, one is they're grown in row about 12, 14 inches apart. They come in with a slicing knife underneath and then a couple vertical cuts with a slicing knife. So they actually kind of sever the root system quite a bit. But this would be considered a very robust root system for an apple, and it's a good foundation to grow on. We have a 3/4 inch caliper trunk here, and we have a number of branches here. And I'm going to I have selected this because I want to prune it to an open center form. And again, you want to have good horizontal, but also very much good vertical spacing between the branches. That separation, both horizontally and vertically, gets you good sunlight access into the core of the tree. Sunlight equals fruit. So again, I'm going to lose the losers, as it were, not to be too pejorative. And then I'm going to keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 open center. So let's see if I can do this here without dropping the tree. The leader is gone. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I'm risky, I'll keep 6 here. Yeah, sure, well, why not? And a good horizontal and vertical spacing. I'll prune these back approximately half their length, and I'm off and running with a nice vase-shaped open center tree. So there's a little look at some possibilities with apples. From a whip to a bigger caliper set of branch trees, one grown as a leader, one grown as an open center form. Here I have a pear, in this case a red Bartlett. Bartlett is a great early season fresh pear, good for canning, true. Not sure there's a need to breed a red one. It's all about looks. Regular Bartlett, good enough. So I'm looking at this tree to show you a little bit of the difference in the root nature of pears versus apples. As you can see down here, a robust root system, big time. And you can see the nature of the root system on the pear is they're more finger-like, stretching both out and seriously downward. Less fibrous roots, more stringy roots like that, almost like a ginseng root, if you dig it. So I like that. And then I like this tree for its potential to be grown into an open center. I have very good vertical spacing of the branches. I might keep 1, 2, 3, 4, and just make a cut right here. It's not a central leader, it's an open center. So I like the positioning opposite one another. I like this, okay, I'll train it out here, and I'll train this one similarly here. So I have 4 branches with a good horizontal and very good vertical spread. Don't sleep on the importance of the vertical as well as the horizontal, but very much the vertical spacing of branches. This allows for a huge shaft of light, a huge alley of light and life to get into the core of the tree initially and throughout the life of the tree. This is a pear variety called Seckel, S-E-C-K-E-L, aka the little sugar lump. It's a little bronzy 2-3 inch pear, comes off in September, early October, good for eating out of hand, and indeed it's a sugar lump. But the reason I have this tree here is to show you some comparatives when you're choosing trees. This has a good but not great root system, it's okay. And then let's look at the branch structure here. Ahem. Wide crotch angles are preferred. This is structurally weak. And it's very likely as these branches grow and splay out, they'll break. So what's the point? The other thing is that these branches all shade one another, so they won't be very productive down in the zone where you can reach them on the ground here. Easy remedy. Let's go back to the beginning. I've got myself a whip, and then I'll make a heading cut up here, and I hope that I can get 3 or 4 nice branches to grow and begin the open center form. Let me just add this, is you can grow apples and pears either to leader forms or open center forms, but after decades of struggling, being stubborn, trying to get a pear to be a central leader, don't push the river. Go with the flow. They just lend themselves to that nice open center, almost candelabra or menorah shape, so grow them as open center trees. I'm standing here with a beautiful improved French prune, the prune of choice for California commercial orchards. And I'm looking at it in terms of root systems. Let's characterize the root system across the board of stone fruits. They tend to be kind of tweeners, that is, somewhere between the finger-like deep roots, non-branching roots of the pear, and the very fibrous surface roots of the apple. So you can see there are the finger roots like this, and there's a good deal of secondary roots off that. And this is, in a comparative sense, a very good root system for a prune or prune plum or any stone fruit. This is the very same clone, a French improved prune plum, and it's a nice tree in every respect. It's just a little deficient in terms of the mass of roots here. It's not bad, it's not below acceptable, it's just not as good. More roots is better when it comes to roots. Mo better.